Okay, people, welcome back to another episode of Winner Take All, where I break down some of the latest and greatest manga chapters of the week. And this week, we have to start off by letting out a massive cry. A massive tear is indeed shed because we do not have no One Piece greatness for this episode, and it's definitely a bummer, but that is not going to stop us from going in and having a great time because we still got a packed lineup. We got Black Clover with chapter 336. We got My Hero Academia, the controversial nature of it at that, with chapter 365. We've got Jujutsu Kaisen Sumo wrestling its way into chapter 196, and once again the bi-weekly release, that is Chainsaw Man 2 with, I believe it's 103, don't quote me on that, it might be 104, but I'm pretty sure it's 103, and the legendary return of a man that we've been dying to see since the beginning of this new version of Chainsaw Man, or this continuation. And I don't want to waste any more of your time. I want to talk some manga. Let's get into it.
I must go, must leave this house. I must go, the time is now. I must go, it's time to get out.
And of course, before we get started, just want to quickly ask if you would please be so kind as to hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell right next to it to get notified. We drop this show every Sunday, and yeah, we talk about all sorts of anime and manga related content here on the channel, from Dragon Ball Super to Boruto, you name it, we're probably talking about it, so hit those buttons, I'd appreciate it. Okay, people, so Black Clover fans, we've got chapter 336, and after the absolute carnage and despair that was done on us with what happened with Asta, pretty much the last few chapters, but of course last chapter in particular especially, I was wondering, okay, what's gonna happen next? And it seems as though for the most part this entire issue of Jump, or at the very least the stuff that we're talking about, was definitely more of a softer issue than the last few weeks, because I ain't gonna lie, last few weeks Shonen Jump has just been hitting left and right with the return of One Piece and everything that's been going on. This issue of Jump, there was a lot of reconvening, especially, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, if you're gonna start off a time skip with Black Clover and you're gonna decimate the main character, have him rejected, his heart broken, his body, soul, all of that stuff, then you probably want to kind of tone it down just a wee bit so we could get back and see, okay, where do we go next from here? Because I'm glad that word spread in chapter 336. You see that the common folk, all of the townspeople of the Clover Kingdom, are discussing, holy cow, Wizard King is actually the enemy all along. It demonstrates that this isn't going to be a hush-hush thing. Now people probably, even if everything goes all hunky-dory and Julius ends up saving everybody from the likes of Lucius, you know, he has a snap into reality moment where he takes control, the townspeople aren't going to trust him anymore. So moving forward, by the end of this arc, hands down, there is no way that Julius should return to the spot of Wizard King. By the end of all of this, either Asta or Yuno or both need to become Wizard Kings, because yeah, how are the people going to accept all of this, that the Wizard King is evil? And I mean, they could definitely spin the narrative, but I would prefer that this is definitely foreshadowing and cementing no more Julius after this of being the Wizard King. In fact, I was hoping after the Elf arc we would have had a different Wizard King, considering he turned into a kid. I was like, hey, Nozel, this is your time to shine, but it didn't happen. So maybe this could be the breadcrumbs of, yeah, I mean, we're in the final arc anyway, so Julius, your time in that throne is over, boy. And we see, of course, the captains reuniting, gathering there to discuss everything that went down alongside Yuno. I love how they keep Yuno in the loop of all of these things. Like, despite the fact that he's not a captain, they recognize, no, he's a beast, and you could probably throw the argument, even though it hasn't really been hinted, I like to think that, hey, they have him there because there's still gonna be some mistrust for William Vengeance. Don't get it twisted, you know, at the end of the day, he did betray the kingdom. So I like that idea that they keep Yuno around, because Yuno, he's trustworthy, he loves the kingdom, he wants to be Wizard King just like Asta. William Vengeance, well, yeah. And of course, Real and nobody pretty much there can believe that Asta's dead, to the point where Yami calls upon Noct, which it feels like it's been a while since we've seen Noct. I mean, I get it, you know, we had that big 3-month break, but I feel like I haven't seen Noct in 100 million years, despite the fact that he was very pivotal and important to the previous arc. We wouldn't have gotten through that war without Noct. And I mean, let's keep it a buck. Did anybody, I mean, let's be real here. Did anybody really believe that Asta was going to be dead? Because even in this one, despite the fact that early on in the chapter, Noct shows up and he's like, I can't enter Asta's shadow. So either A, he's on a very distant continent, or B, he is dead. And I just thought to myself, like, my God, bro, if you're a My Hero Academia fan, you know right now, Jump fans and manga fans in general aren't particularly fond of these, you know, fake out deaths. Although I'll be real, just like in My Hero situation, in this situation, come on, dog, Asta, he's about as dead as staying alive. So there's that. And thinking about it, as we're recording here right now, it just dawned on me, he's in a distant continent per se, right? Asta, what if it's Yami's homeland? Hey, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And I was very happy that even though it happened to be Jack the Ripper, somebody pointed out that, hey, the same thing that's happening with Lucius and Julius is what happened with the elves. And we immediately see like a shot of William Vengeance, but yeah, Coinka Dinkily, huh? I'm gonna still stand by. I feel like Black Clover, potentially Tabata, was planning on having things be a little bit different, and maybe it was gonna be either a double whammy or just something different with this whole split personality of Julius. I'm still gonna stick to, I feel like that was the original plan, and maybe at that particular point, because the anime especially was streaming very well on Crunchyroll all around the world, they probably were like, hey Tabata, you know we give you a lot of shit and all that stuff, but do you think you could do a little bit more? Maybe take out Julius from being the big villain right now and use that down the road. And then of course we got the big devil arc and everything that happened with the Spade Nation, so could very well be the case. I'm just saying, oh, so another dude with two minds in the same body, two spirits, like what's that about? And I mean, it's pointing out the obvious, but nevertheless, Nozel and Rill, considering that they realize, wait a minute, so if this dude Lucius went and conquered all of these supreme devils in the underworld, he's not only surpassed of course the Dark Triad, but he probably would put us to shame, which rightfully so, because you got to think about it, right? Julius already, Wizard King, was already stronger than all of them when he was in his adult form, right? Like that's why he was Wizard King. We seen even when he went up against Patri back then that he was no joke. It took dirty tricks to really take him down. So yeah, you add to the fact that Lucius's magic is there and Lucius is a beast, and then if he went down and conquered the underworld, what really can we do? Even with all the training we may have had over the last year and 3 months, probably not the biggest, you know, amount of advancement to be able to reach somebody like Lucius's level. And then the bigger setup, or one of the bigger setups shall I say, that we see within this chapter is when we find out that, you know, what happened when he went to go vanquish all of those devils that were surrounding the Clover Kingdom, that apparently when he went to go vanquish those devils that were surrounding the Clover Kingdom, Adramelech, the same devil that was there at the end of the previous arc, was just on the sideline with a bunch of other high-ranking devils just watching, and even dipped out after the fact, which it demonstrates that there's a massive plan that is still in play. And I really like that Lucius's plan is not really over yet. If he has things like that going on, it could have been a part of the whole thing. Let's get some of these people out the way, because maybe he didn't want to necessarily tango with both Asta and Yuno, but B, maybe there's something even further, because again, we haven't seen Adramelech do anything other than sit around and kind of complain and stuff like that. So there's a big possibility that there's more happening that we just haven't seen yet. So I'm liking where Tabata is taking this with building up this Adramelech guy. Who knows, maybe at the 9th hour Lucius is going to be stopped by Julius and Adramelech will rise as being the big final threat, even though again we haven't seen him do anything physically. He's been around and we see that he's at the very least a high-ranking devil. If he was to somehow get the upper hand over Julius and Lucius, one, I would say, oh my god, Lucius, your predictions must have been terrible if you allowed this guy to get the upper hand. But two, I wouldn't be really mad at it, because yeah, it seems as though Tabata got something cooking up there. And then we get a little bit of self-reflection on Yuno's end, just thinking about Asta and all the times Asta would declare, I'm gonna surpass you one day, and how he always felt that Yuno was above him and always, you know, just slightly ahead of him. But from Yuno's perspective, it was the opposite. He always felt like Asta was ahead of him, and if Asta is indeed dead, then he's gonna be the one that's gonna have to take up the mantle of surpassing the Wizard King and surpassing, you know, Asta and all of that stuff, which again, it kind of feels a little bit wonky to me in a way. Let me explain. Who thinks that Asta's dead? I mean, the end of the chapter reveals, hey, he's somewhere probably on a distant continent, but who thought Asta was dead? So when I'm listening to that speech, or when I'm reading that speech, shall I say, I'm just thinking to myself, do you read Black Clover, you know? No. I mean, as a reader, it just kind of takes you out of the moment of suspense, because you know realistically, dog, Asta, no. he's alive and well. Okay, maybe not well. His spirit is broken, his mind is broken, his body's broken, but he's alive. And then we cut to the more ominous side where Dramalek arrives to where Lucius is at and gives him a little insight into this dude. He's like, it's crazy. In a little over a year, this dude is able to, in a flash, take out a whole bunch of high-ranking devils, which makes me wonder, like, is it that Dramalek was kind of scared to throw hands with Maybe his abilities aren't necessarily equipped for combat, and he's more so like just able to use other type of abilities that can advance their goals. But maybe he's not that strong in terms of fighting, or maybe is a weakness to him, or maybe just maybe Dramalek ain't that dude right now. He's not that guy, pal, not that guy. And then there was something that I felt was a little bit of a contradiction per se from Lucius's perspective, because he says out of the tens of thousands of futures that he's seen and predictions that he's had, there's only one where the Clover Kingdom and them have the upper hand, and it's because of and I'm like, hold on a minute, didn't you just say that was Asta? Like, dog, are you lying? Are you talking out your ass? Or Tabata, did you forget he just said that a couple of chapters ago, that pretty much the anomaly that will throw off his plans is Asta? I mean, you could argue that he said, well, I didn't really see him in any of these plans, so he's an anomaly that he can't predict. But it's kind of like, okay, you could, I guess, now that I'm thinking of it, you could compartmentalize it that Asta, he just literally can't see him in his future ideas and predictions, and then in one of them he sees that is the one that helps them have an upper hand. So maybe that's what it is. It's just that Asta's straight up unpredictable and is predictable, but in a certain future. So a little leeway there, but it's still like, dog, you made it seem like Asta's the only one, and now you're saying, well, oh, and that dude too. And then we get some back-to-back pages of Lucius vowing that he's going to crush and saying that he's going to surpass Lucius and basically become the Wizard King, because now in his mind anyway, he's the one of one that is going to be the one that surpasses the Wizard King and basically meets the goal now that Asta's gone. So if you think about it, in his mind now, he's doing this not only for himself, but in memory of Asta. And I'm glad that the chapter didn't end that way, because that could have very well been the end of the chapter, and then we could have started off the next chapter with the Asta scene, because then we cut to Asta wash the shore somewhere in an unknown location, and a shadowed out figure appears in front of him and is like, where is he? What's going on? So clearly he's on a distant continent. This could very well be, again, Yami's homeland that we never got to explore, and considering we're in the final arc, it would be a great time to explore it. And that guy, that unknown shadowy figure, it could very well be, who knows, maybe coinkadinkly it's Yami's father or a relative of Yami, and Asta happens to run into the perfect person that could help him train up even further to go up against Lucius. Because remember, the whole key thing was a big factor that helped Asta in the previous war. Maybe that could be something that gives him a little bit of a buff to go back and fight against Lucius. Also, that shadowy figure could be that Asta is in the land of the elves, and he's going to learn something from the elves, similar to how Noel learned something from the elves in the last arc. And maybe that was, is it Raya, the dude that looks like Gintoki from Gintama? Maybe that's the case, although the ears wasn't pointy enough. Or who knows, it could be Morgan, he's revived somehow, or somebody else that we haven't seen. So there's a wide variety of options, but it's safe to say that wherever he's at, he's on a far distant continent, which is why Noct can't enter his shadow. And I'm glad that Tabata didn't drag this whole is Asta dead thing out. Like, that would have been annoying and ridiculous, because as a reader of manga, a connoisseur, so to speak, of Shonen Jump, I knew 1,000,000,000% from the moment he disappeared. He's alive, he was transported somewhere, and he's on a distant continent, which again I'm gonna say is either Yami's homeland, the land of the elves, or somewhere that hasn't been foreshadowed at all. But I'm curious what you guys think. For starters, how did you feel about this chapter? What did you think about Asta being sent away to a different continent? Where is Asta? I think is the biggest question. Is he in Japan? Is he in a different place altogether? The land of the elves? And what is Tabata cooking in that aspect? Also, what are your thoughts on a Dramalek? Do you feel like a Dramalek is like too weak to tango with and that's why he didn't go and throw hands, or there's something else there? And your overall thoughts and expectations for Black Clover with chapter 337 and beyond. An aftermath chapter, build-ups and setups, but it's keeping the passion and it's keeping the burning fire going, because it's showing that Lucius is a monster. And then on top of that, he got high-ranking devils around him like a Dramalek, but also demonstrating on the opposite side that people like are powering up immensely. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Black Clover, nice little chapter. Okay, and then moving forward to the next manga, while Black Clover was a pretty dope setup, I ain't even gonna lie, this chapter of My Hero Academia, the big thing that I took away from after reading this one was, yo, Horikoshi, his paneling on this chapter wasn't the greatest, especially when it came to the whole Shigaraki parts. I was a little bit lost. I was talking with a friend of mine and we was both trying to figure out what the hell is even happening here. And after a couple of different reads, you're gonna see, well, these are my thoughts and what I gathered from this chapter, because my hero, my hero, my hero. I love this series, but y'all know I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it 1,000 with you guys when something is afoot. And chapter 365, it begins with yet again more of the edge shot situation with Bakugo in his heart. And I'm gonna just keep it real, I just hope that within the next couple chapters we just stop talking about that situation already. Like, okay, Bakugo's about to return. The beginning of this chapter starts off with explaining how Edge Shot's powers work and how he's able to condense himself down and give CPR to Bakugo's heart from within, and the precarious situation that Bakugo was in, that even with Best Genius sewing him up or whatnot, it still wasn't able to really help out, and that it's pretty much Edge Shot that is entirely why Bakugo is about to get revived. And I'm not gonna lie, considering the fact that from jump it wasn't the most exciting or best execution that they possibly could have done with bringing Bakugo back, because I mean, I'm gonna say it for probably the final time, who the hell really believed, if you read a lot of shonen manga or you've been reading manga for years, that the most popular character from one of the most popular manga in the world right now, My Hero Academia, was going to die. It's a sad reality, but if you're not reading a seinen manga or you're not reading something unpredictable like a Chainsaw Man, you're not gonna experience a main character that important to the series dying. It sucks because, hey, it would be more like, yo, everything is unpredictable. But yeah, so when I'm reading the beginning of this chapter and we're getting the detailed explanation on how Ed Shot brought him back, I was like, do I really care? I get it, his power is what he's able to do. Do I really need an extensive breakdown? I feel like this is for people that were arguing and couldn't accept that, yo, how is Ed Shot able to do this? And it's like, well, here you guys go, here's some exposition explaining it. But considering I already am not fond of the way it's happening and Ed Shot being the one to do it, I'm like, next page please, next page please, oh my god, next freaking page. And thankfully my guy, my dude, my man, Shigaraki Tomura, even though, oh, I forgot it's Shimura now, right? Like, can we get all for one out of his head already? I'm just saying, because Shimura is like, I already destroyed that, as he's looking on at Bakugo and the whole situation of how he's being basically revived there with Best Genius and Ed Shot. And once again he says, I already destroyed that, as he begins approaching to finish off the job, so to speak. And I'm like, yeah, Tomura, please do. I feel like that is the spirit and the representation of the fandom that is like, this is not cool, bro. Horikoshi, you play with our emotions with this Bakugo situation. We knew you wasn't gonna pull the trigger to begin with. Why are you doing this? And Shigaraki's like, say no more, fam. I'm gonna give it a shot. And Ed Shot was there to say no. I don't even know, man. Just alright. But then our girl Mirko, who suddenly can do damage to Shigaraki, apparently attacks and stops Shigaraki from being able to finish the job on Bakugo and Best Genius in them, which I'm thinking to myself, dog, why not just drag Bakugo's carcass a little bit further away so that, you know, they could continue on the battle? But I guess at the end of the day, the circumstances are so extreme and Shigaraki's so broken right now that can't really, you know what I'm saying, how much time would you be able to have to get him out the way? On top of that, somebody with an exploded heart and them doing surgery, yeah, it's probably not the best to move while you're doing that. And to my surprise, and probably yours, Mirko is able to actually get a hit on Shigaraki, and it's to his surprise, because he's like, wait, what the hell is going on? And a lot of it has to do with something that I like, that Horikoshi keeps this element intact of Shigaraki being an absolute mental disaster. Like, his mind is completely all over the place and it is affecting his performance and his ability to heal and withstand damage, because he goes down the road of like, wait a minute, have I taken like too much hits? Is it starting to affect me? No, my body is too dope. Like, what is happening here? Because he even admits that his body is actually feeling pain. And I ain't gonna lie, a little bit of me is questioning, wait, Mirko is able to do this? Shout outs to Mirko. I really like Mirko. I'm a Mirko fan, so let's be clear about that. But Mirko's able to do this? And then we got that really sick page of Mirko without any pupils, and she's trying to charge at Shigaraki, and she's missing both of her freaking hands. And I'm like, geez, this is raw as hell. That was like one of the best looking panels of the whole damn freaking chapter. But yeah, it's like this is the last line of defense. And I guess I also got to give credits even more so in terms of where we're at with the story and whatnot. Out of all the heroes, Mirko is really the one of the pro heroes in particular that is trying to do the job that the pro heroes are supposed to do and not rely on children. Mirko is pretty much the one that is being the adult of the adults and saying, this is our job to begin with. So she's actually putting herself in the line of fire to do what the other heroes seem to not be willing to do and are relying on children to do. And once again, Shigaraki continues to admit that that last attack did sting a bit, and he pretty much comes to the conclusion that, wait a minute, did I feel some sort of fear from that nobody? And I'm not gonna lie, again, the paneling was a little bit rough because I was thinking to myself, looking at it, like, kind of looks like Endeavor, but was he referring to Bakugo? That would make more sense of maybe Bakugo actually got him a little bit scared in that last attack, and again, his body, because his mind is an absolute mess, is weakening because of it. So it's kind of like their only best line of defense right now is making Shigaraki spin out of control and basically lose the plot, so to speak, mentally. And that's what's happening of why Mirko is able to damage him, because all for one, Shimura, Shigaraki, this dude right here, he should be absolutely unstoppable. Like, he should be just murdering everybody left and right. So it's kind of like his mental state is his downfall. If this was 100% all for one, probably this would already be over and everybody on this battlefield would be K the fuck Oh, and then once again, shout outs to Mirko. I gotta keep on stressing that, because he says at a time like this, the only option is to go all out. I don't want to die with any regrets. And is like, yes, man, how is it that Mirko, that, yeah, she's a pro hero and she's top 10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ranking wise, but she's the only one that is showcasing this is what needs to be done. While Best Genius is there looking at Bakugo, crying his eyes out, and Endeavor, well, no, I take it back. I don't want to shit on Endeavor. Endeavor's been doing the damn thing too, but where is everybody else? Like, all the heroes, all the pro heroes didn't hang up their capes. Why is it only Mirko that is right here right now doing the damn thing? And even if Medio is on the field, Medio is still, what, 30 or something like that? Why aren't the pro heroes doing what Mirko is doing? Big ups to Mirko. Love to see it, that she's doing what the pro heroes are supposed to be doing and have not been doing in this war, minus Endeavor. Again, hold up, I gotta shout out to my boy. In case you don't know, I'm a big fan of Endeavor. I'm a big fan of Shigaraki, and yeah, Endeavor's been putting in work too on his side of things against All for One. But Mirko, man, just clap it up. And Mirko, as she's pretty much kicking his ass a little bit, knocks Shigaraki into once again reflecting on all the people that he's, you know, loved and he killed, and the people that let him down, and when he needed somebody, that nobody would look his way and nobody would help him, even furthering the idea that Shigaraki's mental is spiraling out of control as it is right now. And then the end of the chapter kind of made me question what the hell is about to happen, because after he starts thinking about all the loved ones that he murdered and the people that didn't look his way, we start seeing what looks like versions, or just, I don't even know, it looked weird, of those people that I believe it was some of his family members and whatnot. It looked like some souls of them was starting to come out, and I was at first thinking like, okay, wait a minute, is this like the souls from All for One, like, you know, the quirks, the essence that is within them of the people that had it? Is that them coming out of there, or was it that pretty much Shigaraki's quirk is awakening? Because remember, think about it, he's had surgeries upon surgeries, so it's not a far-fetched idea that he could be having another awakening at an even further scale, on top of the fact that, again, he's mentally unstable and bugging the hell out. So it could very well be that his quirk is awakening once again, and all of the people that he loved and cared about and that he massacred and stuff like that is going to basically arise, and it'll add even further of more threat here. Even though it kind of feels like the heroes to a certain degree can't really do shit anyways. Like, Mirko is fighting without freaking hands at this point, and she's really the only one on the battlefield holding it down. So it's like, hey, if Horikoshi want to make this fight even more unfair towards the heroes, I ain't mad at it. But yeah, definitely a very messy paneling wise. And I'm not normally one to complain about paneling. It just be what it be. But this one, it was like a little bit complicated to comprehend what the hell was happening with Shigaraki from the midway on. But I'm curious what you guys think. For starters, do you feel the same way I feel about Mirko doing what the pro heroes are supposed to be doing? How she's not just sitting back, relaxing, pina colada life, like she's actually putting in work? Your thoughts on the edge shot once again situation in the beginning, and what the hell is going on at the end? Is that Shigaraki awakening his quirk yet again, this time like he's summoning the spirits of, you know, the people he killed? And just another thought, why isn't Shigaraki using his original quirk? I mean, I believe they do still have eyes on him, so there's that, but just feels very, very messy right now. And I guess your take on how the hell Shigaraki is getting damaged, is it because he's weakening because of his mental, or what the hell is going on? And your overall thoughts and expectations for My Hero Academia with chapter 337 and beyond. I believe there's no chapter next week, so it'll be a 2-week break. Hopefully Horikoshi could come back a lot stronger, because this chapter felt messy and I really don't want to see any more explanations about edge shot. It is what it is. I don't like it, but I expected Bakugo to survive anyway, so just bring him up already. Get him up. Get up, dog. Like, come on.
Stand up! Stand up!
Okay, so hands down, I am going to place my bet that the reason why Chainsaw Man has become bi-weekly is simply because we finally have Denji back. I'm calling it. That's the main reason. Like, pretty much, more than likely, Tatsuki Fujimoto was like, alright, nobody's gonna really know or care for this Asta Mitaka character off rip, so let me give you a few weekly chapters so we can run through really quick of giving her exposition and character development, so then once we get to Denji and them, I could go into a bi-weekly release, which I ain't mad at a bi-weekly release. I'm always gonna say I'll prefer that over monthly. Don't get me wrong, I read Chainsaw Man from chapter 37 on weekly as it came out, but I'm not mad at bi-weekly release, especially considering our guy, our favorite horny idiot is back. Denji, baby. Love to see it. And for the most part, this chapter was very simple in a way. Chapter 103 of Chainsaw Man, if I'm not mistaken. 103 or 104, but I want to say it's 103. Very simple. Pretty much Denji's back. Yoshida approaching him following the big interviews, which I ain't gonna lie, it was hilarious to see the beginning where Chainsaw Man is pretty much a spectacle right now, right? You got all sorts of different opinions on him as they're interviewing all these different people. Some people love him, some people are scared of him, don't care for him, some people don't even think that he's real. So kind of like the media in a way in general in the real world, where everybody has an opinion and all of that jazz, so to speak. But then we see Denji getting interviewed, and it's definitely interesting to note they don't know that he's Chainsaw Man, which I'm kind of there like, as stupid as Denji has been shown to be, he hasn't slipped up by now. And on top of the fact that even further this chapter pushes that he wants people to know he's Chainsaw Man, because as he's being interviewed, he's talking like, hey, if you want to know Chainsaw Man's number, I think it might be, and they cut off the cameras, and I'm there like, oh my god, Denji. Is it just me, or does it feel like the art on Denji, he just looks a little bit different now? And maybe that's just me or whatever, and I'm not used to, because it's been forever since we've seen Denji, but he just looks slightly different character design wise. Also, it could be that he's in a school uniform now, and I'm used to him having the white, you know, button-down shirt of part of the workforce, and now he's in school, which is very bizarre, and I guess kind of subversing the norm of, hey, go from school to work. No, he went from work back to school. But following the interview, Yoshida approaches Denji and is like, yo, dog, let's go have a chat. And hilarious in Denji nature that he doesn't remember Yoshida, and personally I felt like that was the audience as well, because a lot of us, including myself, when I first read the chapter that Yoshida reappeared, I was like, wait, who is he again? I don't remember. Like, if you blinked, you missed him in my mind. So yeah, it was hilarious that even Denji's like, nah, dog, don't remember you, even though we fought in life or death situations with each other as comrades. Sorry, doesn't ring a bell, homeboy. But we get a pretty big setup where Yoshida tells Denji that basically he's a part of a group that is in charge of keeping eyes on Denji to make sure that he lives a normal life, that pretty much the life that he has wanted of normalcy, he gets to enjoy and keep intact. So it's not even necessarily the same group, or it probably is a spin-off, so to speak, of the group that he was a part of, you know, the Devil Hunter. Is it the Devil Hunter Association? You know what I'm saying. Pretty much it's a little bit of a spin-off of keeping an eye on Denji, but I think that Yoshida's capping. I think there's a little bit more to it. I think it's, hey, keep an eye on him, because one, some people might try to take him out at the end of the day if he's Chainsaw Man. We've seen what Maki would try to do and whatnot. But two, let's not forget about Nayuta, which we're going to talk a little bit about Denji's character development, or lack thereof to a certain degree, and how it compares to where his situation is at right now, because I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't even get a slight reference into Nayuta, considering the manga ended part 1 with Denji basically taking on the role of a father figure to this girl Nayuta. But when we see Denji here, he's pretty much still the same old horny idiot, so to speak, potentially, possibly, or it could be Cap, because Yoshida stresses that they don't want nobody to know that he is the Chainsaw Man, because again, it will destroy the life that they worked hard to put together for him, right? But Denji says, yo dog, the reason I fight is I want people to know I'm Chainsaw Man, because then all of the hotties is gonna be all over me, dog. Meg the Stallion gonna hit me up someday. It's gonna be crazy. He didn't say Meg the Stallion, I just threw that in there. Yo, Meg was good. And at first when I read the chapter, I took it at face value, like, oh, our favorite horny idiot is back. But then I started thinking a little bit more, right? Because again, even though we didn't get reference or mentions in this chapter of Nayuta, what if Denji's capping? What if there's a little bit of growth that we have not seen yet of maybe Denji is doing this for other purposes? It could be that he wants Nayuta to think he's cool, and the only way she'll think he's cool is if people start praising him and not necessarily Chainsaw Man. Again, we don't know if Nayuta even knows that he's Chainsaw Man. That could be a secret of his as well, so we don't know exactly what their relationship is like. It could be that he wants the ladies to be all over him because maybe he wants to find a mother figure for Nayuta. There's a possibility. Or it could be that Denji is just picking up from where we left off of he wants to have 100 million girls in his bed at all given points. So it could very well be the subversion of the main character from the typical, you know, shonen manga of, no dog, it's not the boy with a dream, it's the boy with a perversion mind. You know what I'm saying? So while definitely it was a simple chapter, it gave us a little insight into Denji, and I ain't gonna lie, I was just really excited and happy to see Denji back. It's been so freaking long. Like, Chainsaw Man ended, what was it, the end of 2020, and you know, then when it came back, we didn't even see Denji for a while, so I was just happy to see him back. Of course, things is probably going to speed up and cook up now that he's returned, and I guess I'm also wondering how the narrative is going to be handled moving forward. Like, is Denji going to retake the role of MC? Are we going to have a shared duality of Asta Mitaka being the MC on one side and Denji being the MC on the other side? Or was this all Fujimoto setting up the big villain in a very unique way of the manga is starting off this part with the villain first, and Asa's going to eventually take that role? But y'all remember this idiot, right? Let's get back to him and see what wackiness he's up to. But I want to ask you guys, big question. Do you think that Denji was just straight up being real, and that's 100% he's the same guy that we ended the manga with last time? Or maybe there's more to it of why he wants the ladies to be all on him? I would like, and ideally would prefer, for there to have been some type of development of, yeah, maybe he still wants to have orgies and all sorts of craziness, but maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit more of a selfless reason as to why he wants, you know, to be known that he's Chainsaw Man. So there's that possibility as well. Also, your thoughts on Yoshida's group that he's a part of, that is basically tasked with making sure that Denji's life stays intact and normalcy. Do you think there's more of a nefarious reason behind it? And your overall thoughts and expectations on where things is going to go. It still feels very early. We still don't know where Asa's character is going to go. We still don't know when her and Denji are going to collide, but very interesting stuff moving forward. And then now to close this one up with one of my favorite chapters of this week, Jujutsu Kaisen 196. Hands down, these last couple of chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen I felt has added an element that Jujutsu Kaisen has been lacking for a while, and just in general has shaken things up. It's crazy because at first I was like, this is so random. Who are these irrelevant dudes from other colonies that just showed up? What is going on here? When we got that samurai, and then we got the sumo wrestler. But then at the same time, I can't help but really admire and appreciate the comedy. It doesn't even feel like intentional, but maybe it is, of those two characters. Like, dog, just think about it. We went from a life or death battle, Maki and Noritoshi versus Naoya, to Maki is sumo wrestling to find herself. Like, yo, dog, imagine Jujutsu Kaisen ended right here. We never got another chapter, and the whole theme of it all along was this woman finding her passion in sumo wrestling. Hey, okay, realistically, that would be a horrible ending. Oh god. But Maki agrees to sumo wrestle with Mio. I believe it's Mio, right? I don't think that was a samurai. I want to say it's the sumo guy that is Mio, but she agrees to sumo with him, and it's basically that she's trying to find what it is that she is missing, what it is about her fighting and the way she maneuvers, similar to how she ended last chapter, thinking back of like, what is it that makes her different from Toji? She feels like she could find it in this sumo wrestling, which again, it's so bizarre, but I like it, man. It's kind of shaking things up a little. Jujutsu Kaisen, it takes itself very serious to a certain certain degree with a lot of the battle aspects and kind of lacks some of these wacky, unpredictable moments. And these 2 chapters have proven that unpredictability is a very awesome thing. And a sumo dude in the middle of a life or death situation popping in and teaching Maki how to fight in a different manner and find out what she's missing is very, very unpredictable, and dare I say it, a subversion. Also want to note that probably this is some of the best art we've had of Maki the entire series with this chapter. I mean, there was quite a few pages where I was like, oh my god, you could tell Gege really loved drawing these pages. But when they start having a little brawl, Mio basically tosses Maki after a while and says, there's something that's missing with you. Pretty much there's more to Maki than that, because yeah, how the hell is he just tossing her around? And he could see that, no dog, you a monster. Well, he didn't say that, but he could see, yo, you're holding back, or there's something that you're not able to tap into, so to speak. And even further goes on to question, why is it that you can't concentrate? And I would throw the argument of, well, gee, I don't know, somebody that has a vengeance and an axe to grind against her was just trying to kill her, and you decided to pop in and say, let's sumo. Maybe that's why she can't concentrate, bruh. Stupid. But it dives even further into Maki's character of, she's never had a teacher, and it was not due to ego or pride. It was basically due to the fact that Maki never even considered growing stronger by relying on someone else. So Maki's kind of been a loner, and to a certain degree I can relate. When you feel like, yo, the world has kind of let you down so much, I'm gonna just do it all myself. But having an element of a teacher, or you know, you could even say a mentor, whatever it may be, like a gojo or something like that, can really benefit. And we see in this chapter that Maki essentially finds herself in this sumo wrestling dude, which never in a billion years could I have predicted that Maki Zanin's teacher would be a sumo dude. And pretty much there's like a whole page of them sumoing. It's like, I don't even know, 20 different pictures of them sumoing so that she could find herself, so to speak. And I ain't gonna lie, I got very philosophical, very metaphorical when after they have all those sumo matches that pretty much Mio says, now see the sound, become one with it. And it's pretty much almost, I felt like kind of a Ultra Instinct Dragon Ball Goku type of situation where kind of become one with it. And I guess it takes it even further of him saying, it's not even about winning or losing, like erase that from your mind, just essentially become one with the combat. And to me it almost felt like it was screaming Ultra Instinct in a way, fight with your instincts and not necessarily with your mind, become one with the battle, so to speak, see the sound. Just in general, very, again, you know, philosophical, deep and all of that jazz, but it's just hard to really take it too serious for me personally when it's like, but it's sumo. And I gotta stress though, yet again, the art was just so fire. Even that one where we see Maki throwing a kick in the air and it says it's freedom, it was like, yeah, Gege just outdid themselves with the art on this chapter. And the chapter ends off with Maki saying, I feel amazing, and that pretty much she has seen the light. So within a chapter of sumo wrestling, Maki's gonna be able to go on and take out Naoya, I'm imagining, which I'm gonna throw in a theory. I think it would be big, I think it would be impactful, and also change the narrative that's been surrounding Jujutsu Kaisen lately, because people have been saying that the series is getting a little boring and stale. Her sumo wrestling teacher, that she finally obtained a teacher, dying at the hands of Naoya will definitely activate something in her, and she will massacre the crap out of him and advance even further, and it'll get people talking. Because yeah, there has been a narrative surrounding this series for a little bit now that, hey man, it's starting to get boring, what the hell is going on, who are these irrelevant characters? Well, this irrelevant character just gave a different angle and a different avenue for Maki's character, and also helped her to develop even further, to kind of again go into an Ultra Instinct type of battle stance and battle mindset and just become one with it. But I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think that Maki is going to be able to take on Naoya now? How do you feel in general, just being honest, in the middle of this Naoya battle, her stopping and sumo wrestling is going to be the big character defining trait that kind of switches things up? Are you yay, nay? Do you feel like it's too ridiculous? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the series with chapter 197 and beyond. I've never seen Maki look as awesome as she's done in this chapter. She looked incredible. The art was gorgeous. And yeah, it was character development in a very, very strange way. And people, that leaves us with the part of the show that I enjoy talking about, my list of the best to worst manga, or we'll do worst to best of the week. At number 4, at the bottom, My Hero Academia. Again, the paneling was all over the place. It kind of felt a little wonky. I'm still not a fan of the Edgeshot situation, not because of Bakugo reviving, but who the hell is Edgeshot? So that's why I placed it at number 4. I gave it a couple of points because the Shigaraki aspects are interesting, but Horikoshi kind of was just slapping the paint at the canvas and a little messy for me. Then coming in at number 3 is Chainsaw Man. Very happy to see my guy back, but it was mainly just conversations and getting a little bit of a peek into his mindset, but yeah, it wasn't the biggest thing in the world. It was more so a fanfare of, oh my god, he's back. Then I've been going back and forth for 1 and 2, right? Black Clover and Jujutsu Kaisen. A part of me immediately, and if it's just strictly over entertainment, I would put Jujutsu Kaisen at number 1. I had more fun with it. I like the wackiness of it. I'm a massive MAKI fan. MAKI did her thing, like all of that cool stuff. Realistically, plot developing wise, probably Black Clover would be number 1 and Jujutsu Kaisen number 2, but yeah, I'm kind of back and forth on it. I want to put Jujutsu Kaisen number 1, but then I feel like Black Clover was advancing things and creating more suspense, so yeah, I'm gonna put a question mark on it. Maybe I could just tie them at 1 or something, even though probably quality wise, maybe it's Black Clover number 1. Me personally, just enjoyment and entertainment wise, Jujutsu Kaisen number 1. There you go. But let me know what you guys think of the entire show. Favorite chapter, worst chapter, all of the above. That's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And remember, the winner takes it all. Have an awesome one.
I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see, and you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing and looking at me, such a odd, unique, yet I'm so unique, and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably repeat, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.